Well, in an unexpected move, we talked about it, actually. I think it happened while we were on I'm not sure, but it all runs together. But we do know the Trump administration yesterday rescinded the order to freeze federal grants and loans. There was a lot of confusion that was going on. It was announced in a brief memo. The director of the Office of Management and Budget, it reads, quote, OMB Memorandum M2513 is rescinded. That was plain and simple and to the point. And that announcement came one day after a U.S. District Judge, Lauren Ahan, temporarily blocked the order, saying the administration doesn't know the full extent of the programs that would be affected by the freeze. We're going to hear this a lot with this president, like it or not. It's one of the things people like. He shoots from the lip, but then there are unintended consequences that always pop up and we have to deal with. That's one of the things that happened here. It's certainly happened with him releasing all of those thugs from the attack on the Capitol by including people who attacked police officers. Nobody was for that. Nobody is for that. Be that as it may, his own people have hidden in the bushes and said they didn't accept that either. Now, Dave Dulio, very busy guy, director of the Center for Civic Engagement and Political Science, professor at Oakland University, is here with us to talk about that funding freeze and some other things. But Dave, I understand we're pulling you out of a special event. Good afternoon, and what special event are you attending?
Well, good afternoon, Paul W. Thanks for having me. I am at historic Meadowbrook Hall on the campus of Oakland University, participating in something that we're calling the Meadowbrook Seminars 2.0. And in 1957, before OU was launched, our benefactor, Matilda Dodge Wilson, brought together leaders from around the country to talk about what Oakland University should be, what higher education should be. And they built Oakland University on the foundation that those discussions. And we've done the same thing here in 2025, bringing together folks from the higher ed industry in general, the arts, to talk about what higher ed might look like and how we should approach it 25 years into the future. So
wow, good for you.
It's quite a discussion, but I think we've turned up more questions than we have answers.
As is often the case, and that's okay,
right on.
Too.
It is.
Meadowbrook Seminars 2.0 on the campus of Oakland University. Dave Dulio, professor, with us. It's a bit confusing, but it's going to be, hang on for the ride. The White House says the funding freeze remains in effect despite rescinding the memo calling for it. Can you try to help us understand what they mean by that?
I can try, Paul W., and it's, as you've made very clear, and I think rightly so, that number one, yes, this is sort of the MO for President Trump, is shooting from the hip, and things aren't always crystal clear or specifically defined. And in this case, I think, we see a number of things reveal themselves. Number one, the complexity of the federal government and how it's funded, and two, the another layer of bureaucracy that folks probably don't know anything about. And, it seems pretty simple where the president would say, okay, we're going to freeze spending in these areas, but then it takes a memo from the OMB that makes things confusing, and then they walk the OMB memo back, but the freeze is still in place. So, it's a complex situation that I think they're just trying to work out and get to the point where the president's priorities are being advanced, right? And that there's a whole other layer to that too, is how far can the president go in freezing spending? How far can the president go in deviating away from what Congress has appropriated money for? There is some guidance in the law and in court decisions on this, but I think you're going to see a lot more of it.
Yeah, and frankly, and don't anyone take this the wrong way, I completely support President Trump. He is the president of the United States. There's only one at a time. He is the one. And I salute the amount of things getting done in days that didn't get done in years under the last administration. But we are going to see often the difference between a government and a monarchy. I'm sure that President Trump would feel very comfortable in a monarchy, and I'm using that word instead of dictatorship, which is what the other side likes to use, because the other side really doesn't want anything to go well for this president, which means they don't really care about things going well for we the people. I put that aside. He can say, this is what I want, but then there are checks and balances that say, well, that's great, but here's what you can have.
Yes, and that is so spot on, that folks, your listeners, I think we always have to remind ourselves that we live in this democratic system that is centered on three co-equal branches of government that each have a role to play. And there are areas of governmental power where one has supremacy over the other, but the vast majority of that power is shared, and you can see the interplay between those different branches. And this is going to be one of those, that Congress has appropriated money, and the president and the executive branch are expected to spend it. And I think we're going to, as I said, we're going to see a plethora of court cases depending on how this goes forward.
Professor Dave Dulio, Director of the Center for Civic Engagement, Political Science at Oakland University and out at Meadowbrook for Seminar 2.0. Here's another one. Can the president say, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reopen Guantanamo Bay for dangerous illegal immigrants. Or does he have to get somebody's permission to do that?
So I think this is a really interesting one. And I'm like you, just sort of getting the lay of the land of these things. But my initial read on that is the president's commander-in-chief, that is at a military base. He can direct the folks at Guantanamo, I imagine, to do whatever he wants there. But does he have the power to transfer non-military folks? That they're not citizens, but they are civilians. They are civilians who would be transferred there to be held. I would guarantee you somebody sues over that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a given. It seems that there will be lawsuits flying like crazy all the time, trying to waylay this president. I'm just wondering if we can know ahead of time. If it sounds like he has the presidential power to do this, but if there's even a little place where someone can question it, well, frankly, even if there wasn't, they're going to question it. They're going to file lawsuits. I guess that's just something we have to get used to.
You know, for sure. And this is one thing I think that's very different about the Trump administration this time around than the first time. They've had years to prepare for the actions that they want to take. And as you said, right, there's things that are happening at breakneck speed in the first couple of weeks. I would be shocked if in that preparation for the start of the administration that the smart people that he has working for him didn't anticipate the lawsuits that would come, and that they are, I imagine, ready for that fight.
Our friend, Professor Dave Dulio, our guest, hosting part of what's going on, Oakland University founder, philanthropist Matilda Dodge Wilson, the original Meadowbrook seminars in 1958-59 to help create a direction for Oakland County's first four-year university as it turned from an idea into a reality. Today, the current president and a guest on this program, Ora Hirsch-Peskovitz, bringing back a Meadowbrook seminar reimagined as an event that will help refine what education by 2025 standards should look like for OU students and graduates going into the workplace. Both women, some 65 years apart, encouraged a gathering that would help chart the course of higher education for OU and for the region, the nation, for that matter, the world. And that's what Dave Dulio is a part of today, and he broke away from to join us. Professor, I thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul W. Have a good afternoon.
You do the same as we continue in focus on this very special day, Thursday, January 30th. If you see